Have you started it?
Yes, sir, it is
Yes, sir.
started.
One of us
Okay.
started.
Now it has started, right?
Yes, sir. Now I can continue.
So may I continue now?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the function pointers, what the main point that we noted, that I mean we probably don't pay much attention that how and when it gets the binding takes place, the function body and the function name. But what we found that that may be in different in different scenarios, it may be in different ways. So the normal one that you tilde while writing C codes or maybe even C++ codes, I don't know. Maybe you have used simple static binding. Static in the sense compile time binding means every time you compile and run, it is bound to the call is bound to up to that particular function. So there is no dynamicity in it, right? That's why this is called static binding. But in contrast, what we found, uh, if we have a function call through a pointer to that function, through a function pointer, and if that function pointer is an array of function pointers which can point to similar type of function prototypes, similar functions of the same prototypes. Now if you use a variable to specify which particular function you would like to invoke, so as I mentioned that the variable u, so if I read the value of u in runtime, so sometimes you will enter 0, sometimes you will enter 2. So accordingly, when you are calling or invoking the function through that function pointer, function pointer array, so based on the value of u, sometimes it invokes sum or sometimes it invokes sub or some other functions. So you wrote just one line to call that through the function pointer, but just looking into that code, neither you nor the compiler also can say that which function will be actually called at this state, at that point, till the it gets executed and you actually, or somebody who executes actually enter the value of u, and it knows that okay, this is where to be, this need to be bound, right? So this is because of its dynamicity, and because that this can only be known in such a case during runtime or execution time. This is better known as dynamic binding, runtime binding, or that is in contrast to compile time binding and all this. Okay, so here in the function pointers we have found that how to achieve runtime binding, runtime function binding, where the binding, function binding, is the process of associating the function call to its body, right, to the function body. So how to achieve runtime binding, runtime function binding, or dynamic binding? This we found, and this is in contrast to the conventional, or maybe not, I would not say conventional, but to the better known or more commonly used static binding or compile time binding. We use this. So how to achieve that we found? Now you would say that this is one example where we found that this may be useful, this use of function pointers. Otherwise, you say that till this point I wrote so many codes, I never used function pointers, and probably I hope that I should not use it. There is no scope for using it. But there are, apart from this, in this case, there are instances where this runtime binding is important. So that is virtual function or polymorphism and all this. So that we'll discuss later on in details. But you know that when we talk about that, we'll not be explicitly writing function pointers, but we know that that is somehow that is achieved. I mean, that is a tool. This is a tool that helps us to achieve that. So there are many things that in C++ or C++ designer uh, has visualized, and which is completely different. uh, it's completely novel, the way functions are bound, and then function names are realized, uh, operators are used and all this. And the overall objective is just to provide a solid abstraction, so that whoever is writing or solving a problem, he should not be bothered about uh, the syntax more. Rather, he should be dealing with easy to read codes and easy to write codes. Okay, so that was a basic objective, and that is a basic objective for any computer language. And you provide a lot of abstraction so that the underlying memory or the registers or data types, data structures, these are as much as possible hidden from the programmer or the the person who is solving the problem. And also sometimes you really don't care about what the size you require, right? Because you say that sometimes I require size of 10 integers, and in due course of time I find that this might be say maybe stack is overflowing, or maybe this is not enough. Even though you have dynamically allocated, you find that the space that you have dynamically allocated is not enough. So then what to do? So again you go back and do it. So how to get rid of these problems also? So those are the abstractions that a C++ designer, I mean as a C++, say Brown Strauss thought of, and he came up with nice ideas. So one of these is this runtime binding. He exploited this to provide some abstraction. So in this class we'll be focusing on these pointers to structures, or talking about self-referential structures. And also we'll be talking about another kind of operator, which we'll see. Just a minute. Okay, so we are all aware of structures in C or C++, right? So if I write a structure like this, is it a complete definition of a structure? Syntactically, do I miss something here? Those who have done only C, do you find something missing?
Yes, sir. J is missing.
What things are missing here?
So structure variable we need to define.
Yes, that I define like this. Is that okay? Those who only know C till now, is that fine?
Sir, either we need to use struct before like defining the variable, or we need to type define.
Type def. So here, so that is something striking, right? But in C++, this is fine. This is okay. Okay. So the point is, in C++, this works. No type def required. Got it? So those are switching from C++ to C to C++, and yet not yet used C++ structures, typical C++ structures. They should be aware of this. So there is no type def that is required here. Okay. And even if you don't use type def, you are trying to, what I'm trying to do, A is a structure variable, an instance of that structure. And when I'm trying to declare a structure variable, I don't have to write the keyword struct. That is also not required here. Nothing here, nothing here, and still it works. So in that sense, the compiler is a bit more smart enough to realize that, and you really don't have to. So once you write struct this xyz, it will treat this xyz as a new user defined data type. That is what it means, right? So this is a new user defined data type, and once it is recognized by the compiler, so as you mentioned here, int or float, you can simply write xyz, and it knows that okay, this is another data type that he has written. Okay, so as I write here int say m, so this is also recognized and this is also recognized. This is a user defined data type and these are inbuilt data type. That's all. So this is the first feature that really becomes useful, because there is no point of so as I mentioned, the basic philosophy was to uh, provide relief to the programmer, where he should be bothering about the complexity of the problem he's handling, the design of the problem, but he should not be bothered about the uh, details of the internal or uh, system level details. So that is one objective. Now the point is, if I would like to define, so this is a, it's fine. If I would like to store the address of this a, this structure variable a, if I would like to store the address of that a in p, how should I define the p?
Sir, xy is a asterisk.
So p is a pointer to this data type, right? As p was pointing to int float, now p is pointing to p is just a pointer variable, because there is no const keyword here. It's a pointer variable pointing to xyz, this new data type. Okay, so this is a new one that got added in the pool. So once I have this, if I would like to, so the next step will be to access the values, right? So if I would like to uh, so through this a, if I would like to refer to x and y, what do I write?
A dot.
See out. I write, what is the operator? Through this a variable, structure variable a, if I would like to refer to this member, so these are the members, right? Structure members.
A dot
If I would like
X.
to
A dot x.
a dot x, then a dot y. So this, so what this dot is called here? What is the name of the operator? So it's like, you can say it's a member operator. You can access the members. Now, if I would like to access the members x and y through the pointer pointing to it, what should I write?
Sir, p arrow x, p arrow y.
Okay. So before I do that, so let us visualize what is being done here. So if this is a, so first of all, if I don't write anything like this, if I don't write any of this portion, if I simply write this, does it make any allocation in the space in the memory? If I simply write this part, will it create any allocation?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So this is just a definition. So definition means it just says, it gives you the idea that how instance of xyz type will look like, and it says that every instance of xyz will contain integer instance and a float instance within it. So it's composed of uh, some other data types right there, and how many of them you can specify. But once I write this declaration, that means I have allocation of that a in the memory. How many bytes it will take? So each instance of this will take space for int and float. And say for example, they are both 4 bytes each here. So this will be then, say this is corresponding to x, this is corresponding to y, and this whole one corresponds to a, which is the structure variable. Okay. Now when I declare this p might be, say maybe I have not mentioned where is global or local or whatever. So let it be that this p is here. So p is a pointer variable which is pointing to this. So if I say address of a, what do you expect? Because a contains multiple members, right? This member and this member. So if I say address of a structure variable, so whose address it should return?
Sir, whichever comes first in
So
the.
it is called the base address, right? So whenever you request a declaration for a, this whole lot is allocated for you. And if you say address of a, it is basically a base address of this entire block. So that is actually assigned to p so that p can point to it. Okay. Now if I would like to refer to the members just using the name a, the identifier a, it is a dot x, a dot y. If I would like to refer to these members using the pointer variable p, then what I would do, so p asterisk means I go there. Okay, I can actually break open that, and then this, then you write a dot x, and then you write a asterisk p whole of dot y. Will it work?
Yes, sir.
Hello. So you are all aware of it, right? So p is the pointer. If I give asterisk, that means it will be taking you to that place, and you know that there are a bunch of members. So which one you would like to specify? Give a dot and specify the member name. That's all. So here I can also uh, schematically show it like this. This is say p, this is say a, which consists of basically two elements, x and y. This is basically a, and p is pointing to a, like this. So this is of type xyz, and this is of type xyz pointer, the nature of p. Fine.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, when we use dot and when we use hyphen arrow.
Yeah, I'm coming to it. So up to this, is it fine?
Yes, sir.
So now the thing is I can, instead of this, I can also write cout. So will this work? Will this or
Yes,
this
sir.
both work?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So the answer is both will work. There is no problem. It's your choice. So this or this basically is the same. It's a more compact notation, but this also, if you would like to have a more precise specification of, I mean, how to do it using the pointer notation. So it's more like a pointer notation, and it is a more compact notation. That's all.
But
Is that fine?
hello, sir.
Hmm.
Sir, in see many times when I use it as hyphen and arrow function instead of dot function, the
Hmm.
compiler doesn't allow me to use that. Why?
In what situations?
In when I was trying to create a link list or something like that.
Okay, I'll talk about it. I'll take the linked list case also. I'll write that code. So right now, I have to, without getting your code, I cannot comment on it. So
Oh,
maybe while I discuss about the linked list, let me explain my part, and if you still have a doubt, we can discuss about it.
Means that
Okay.
this dot function dot and this hyphen and arrow are same, na?
Yes, they are equivalent. So there should not be any issues until unless there are other things that probably you have messed up, or maybe something else it goes out of scope. I don't know. So without getting that code, I cannot comment on it. But as such, both the notations are same and both should have worked in your case also. Hello? Hello?
Okay, sir.
So let us hold on, and as I mentioned, I'll be uh, writing the code on a linked list, the single linked list. So that will give you the idea of how the linked allocation, or chain of lists, linked list, doubly linked lists, all these can be tackled. Maybe trees also, tree data structures also can be tackled in a C++ way. So I know everybody can write that code, but in a C++ way, how I use the C++ object-oriented concepts, how I define the classes and maybe structures, whatever you say, where should I put the pointer, and what should be the members of it, that I'll discuss, and along with the syntax also I'll write the code in the editor itself. Okay, so this part is this fine? Now if I write, so this is say fine. So now if I write xyz, what does it mean? What is q?
Sir, reference.
So as we know, q is a reference to, it's a reference to any structure variable. We know that we should no longer be using the term variable, but still when it is a structure, we still can call it as a variable, but when it is a class, we should prefer to call it as a object like this, but we can still call it as a structure object. That's not a big deal. Okay, variable or object, because they are synonymous in C++. Okay, so this is a reference. So using the reference, if I would like to access the members, what should I write? So
Q
reference
dot
means what?
X.
I just gave one more name to it. Earlier it was called as A. Now I say that it is called as Q also. You may call it as Q also. What should I write?
Same, sir. Q dot X and
So Q dot X, Q dot Y. Okay. So we have talked about C++ structure, which is even looking much more compact. There is no use of type def and all this. We can create an instance of it. We call it as an object or variable. We can create a pointer to that structure type, the user defined data type, and assign the address of it. If it is through the address we have to access it, should be arrow notation, or maybe we can be more specific, or it can be, if it is a normal variable, it's using dot operator. And if we have created a reference to that data member or to that data type, then we can also use that same dot operator. So the point is, if you have, say, some function, say maybe update, where, so for updation, can you pass the value of the variable x, variable a, the structure? Say I would like to update or modify the contents of the members in a function. That is what updation means. So maybe this is, here I pass, and that all these things are done in within main, right? So within main I have done this, all of it. So if I would like to have a function update where my intention is to update the contents of A, the members of A, so will the call by value work here?
No, sir.
So call by value, it never helps us to update. If you just, so it's basically you are sending a read only copy, kind of, right? Where you can read only, or you can pass on the contents of it, that's all. So I would not say read only copy. It's basically you are passing the value. So call by value will not work. So what are the options here? So if I write here, say within the main, I've got all the declarations, then x, y, z, a. If I like to write function update, so call by value will not work for updation. So there are two other options, call by address and call by reference. So if I would like to have the call by address, what should I pass here? What should I pass here?
Ampersand A.
Ampersand.
Percentage.
So this is call by address. And if I would like to update the contents of A by passing its reference, so call by reference, what should I pass here? What should I write here?
A.
Sir. A.
Just A. Now can I have the same function name, one that accepts the address and one that accepts the reference?
Yes, sir.
Function
Yes,
This is
overloading.
example of
and overloading.
Function overloading.
so this is example of function overloading. So this is possible. So we don't have to write different function names. So function update, the purpose is updation, but by two different means, and they are having some difference in terms of the input argument, so it works fine. Okay, so now if I implement this copy, the first copy, because I don't know which copy unless I write it here. So if I would like to implement the first copy, this function update with the address, what should I declare here as a local argument? Who can store the address of a
Asterisk.
Pointer.
some pointer to this. So you can copy the contents of a the address of a into P. So within this, if I write here, say P arrow, it was x plus plus, and P arrow y minus minus. So it would have worked, right? So void, I just want to update one and increment one, decrement the other one. But the same thing, if I would like to have the second update function, which actually passes the reference, what should I write? XYZ
Ampersand A.
ampersand, say q void. But here if I would like to update, what should I write? Q
Q dot x.
q dot x plus plus and q dot y minus minus. So which one do you think is better? So both serves a purpose. It is for updation of the contents of the members of a particular structure variable or structure object. So which one do you prefer? Both serves the purpose. Hello?
Call by
Second one.
reference.
Address.
Reference is better, right? Because why should I unnecessarily write so many? I mean, it appears to be use an arrow and all this, and as you say, sometimes it becomes confusing and all this. So yeah, simply do this. Okay, so this probably is not preferred. I mean, syntactically it looks so. Both will work. Both works. But you prefer this. From now on. So whenever you have to pass something for updation, so if there is a chance, there is a possibility you basically pass the reference of it rather than you basically pass the reference rather than the address of it, right? So this is the first. Yes.
Sir, here can we call XYZ as a new class or should we strictly call it a structure on?
Again, as I mentioned, so this is because it is C compatible, that struct keyword is still there, but there is no point of having it because in object oriented programming, in object oriented paradigm, there is no structure as such. Structure is something to have compatibility with C type coding syntax and understanding, but in true sense this is basically class. But class, what we are having here are data members, right? But you all understand classes as are having data members as well as
Member functions also.
member functions or methods or whatever you say. But nobody says that whenever you write a class or a structure, you need to put data members as member data as well as methods. So that's the case. Okay, so structure is a term, I mean I'll not be using it for long time, but because I'm switching from C to C++, I stick to this keyword structure and all this. But yeah, very soon I'll be switching to class and no more I'll be talking about C++ structure or C structure variable and all this. Okay,
So,
just
but
to,
we can use a class with only data members as well, right?
yes, that's all, that's possible.
So then why do we use structure in C++ then?
Yes, I mean we can still instead of the keyword struct, I could have just written class, that's all. But there is one small difference. So C++ structures, like if I don't specify anything, so there is we just talked about in the introductory classes that anything that you write in the definition of a class or structure in C++, it comes up with some access permissions. The members of class or structure comes up with access permissions. So what are the access modes? In C++,
Public
it's
and
basically because
private.
it gives importance to data. So it is, there is some implicit or explicit specifiers through which you specify who and how you can access those data members. I mean members, data or method. What are the specifiers?
Public and private.
Public,
Public,
private,
private,
protected.
and also protected. Protected, let us forget about it right now. We'll come to it later on as and when it is required, right? So it is public and protected. And I think we talked about what public and protected means. So if it is a structure, you see, did you mention anything here? Did you mention? You should have mentioned, right? But did you mention anything? But still it is working. So that means, can you infer that what way it is treating the data members here?
Sir, private.
If it is private, then can you access it like this? So this is here, private means anything. So what it is, public private scope, so it is here, this is a scope. Now can you access it from main if it is a private one?
No, sir.
So even though we have not mentioned anything explicitly, what do you think, how the compiler is treating this? How the compiler is treating this, these two?
By default private.
Hmm? Now, if it is by default private, then how can you access this? You are still able to access it. So, what is the way it is access? What is the default access specifier
Public.
if you declare it as a structure?
Public.
Public.
This is
Public.
public, right?
Sir,
What the point?
here it is treating it as public, but if we run it in a means if we interpret it in a C++ compiler, but it should be a private, no, sir, because
Okay, let's
both
see.
are analogical.
Let us check this. I think this is not a stack code. What is the problem?
Sir, operator after cout, sir.
Syntax errors.
Okay, okay, yeah. I missed one. It displays something, right? Can you see this? It is
Yes, sir.
displaying something. So this is, and you can be sure of it that if I write here a dot x equals a dot y equals 10, got it? So that means, can you say how it is getting interpreted here, even though I don't specify anything? Or in other words, what is the default specifier associated with it?
Publics.
Public.
It's public. Just change it to class and see what happens. Got it? What it says? What it says? Can you see?
Declared
Yes.
private.
Now we have not, neither you specified something earlier, nor you are specifying something now also. But now what it says? But earlier it ran, now it's not running. Because
By default private.
nobody told it is a private. But the compiler interpreted it as private. So now what we can say? In the class, the default specifier, if you don't specify anything, it will be treated as
Public.
public. So the thing is, so if I leave my bicycle, I don't expect that anybody should take it and use it as a public property. Now somebody says that, okay, you have not mentioned that, you have not locked it, you don't write it is my it is my private property, so that's why we are using. So that's not the case. So in a C object oriented programming, you are, I mean, it is more restrictive. So it expects that, so it knows that what is the designers know that what was the uh, mess that happens when you don't have finer control over data. So by default, it says that we'll treat everything as private until unless you explicitly say that it is going to be public.
Sir, will it run properly after declaring it as public?
Hello? Louder.
Sir, will it run properly after declaring it as public?
Okay, let's see. It ran. Are you convinced? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's it. So there is no difference. So there is no difference between a C++ class or a C++ structure. No. What is the only difference? What is the only difference?
Accessibility, default accessibility mode.
It's a default. So whatever is default one, that's all. And what then people will say that why that structure is still there. Now the thing is, if you write a struct, I mean using a struct keyword xyz, if you write something, and if you are still not putting any methods into it, I mean you may or may not, that doesn't matter. So if you run those codes here, instantly all those codes will have so much of a volume of errors will pop up, and that is not expected because you always say that C++ compiler, I mean C is C compatible. It is something added to the C++. That is how Brian Strauss designed it. It is not a Java designer's philosophy. So he says that, okay, even if you don't understand public, private and all this, and you are still using a C++ compiler, I will allow your C codes to run, and to how to make it run, he should be at ease with using the struct keyword, and he should be not bothering about putting private public. But he knows that a C designer, C coder will interpret that anything that I define within the struct will be accessible outside also. So its default is public. That's why the default to the structure is public. That is basically to have the compatibility issue. That's all. Otherwise, he could have simply said that I don't allow you to define a structure. The keyword structure is missing here. And even if you do that, anything that you define, if you don't define, I'll treat them as default private. But he never did that. What the point? It's basically the choice and his philosophy of putting things. There is nothing more than that. Got my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what is the size of A here? What is the size of A? Because I am talking about this, so let me resolve it right now. What is the size of A?
Sir, size of int plus size of float.
What do you expect here? It is 8, right? Why 8? Because in C++, I mean at least the compiler that I am using, the int also takes 4 bytes, and the character also, the float also takes 4 bytes. That's not the issue. So that is how it has been designed. So my question is, so let us be, so whether it is a class or structure really doesn't matter. I think you all got convinced, right? Class or structure doesn't matter. So even in this case also it will be the same 8 bytes. Now I say that if I write here, say fx, so what I add here, what I am adding here,
Sir, member function.
it's a member function. It's as like these are member data, this is a member function, that's all. So z dot, okay, z equals say 5. And if these are the member functions, so how do I invoke those member functions also? If I just write a dot fx, you see, so are you getting me here? So these are all members, doesn't matter. So x is a member, y is a member, and this fx is also a member. So these are all members, but some are member data and some may be member methods or functions, but these are all members, and those members together make the family. So they're like family members. So some are male, some are female, some are children and all this, but they all belong to the family kind of thing. So these all members, these components actually make up the whole definition of the structure or class. So as we refer to, I mean, if this is an instance of that structure, let us be, let us call it in a more generic way that A is an instance of that structure or class. Okay, so if this is an instance, so through this instance, if I use the dot operator to specify x or y, to specify fx, what do I do? A dot fx, right? That should work. Hello?
Yes, sir, it will work.
So this is fine. Now again, if you just make it class, it really does not make any change because you have already explicitly mentioned to be public. And another nice thing is, as you can see here in the syntax, so those who are C programmers, they will say that, okay, how long I keep on, so is it like every tag I have to make public? No, that's not the case. So once you have tagged it as public, the public tag is here. So if you start writing int x, whatever members you write, it will be all treated as public. But if you make it as private explicitly, or maybe from here, if I write here private, see what happens. So that means this is public, but once I use the tag private, so from thereafter it will be treated as private. So you may not have the tag used for each and every member. So what you can do is basically group them in terms of public and private. So put the public tag, list all those public ones, then put the private tag, list all the private ones, and where you private means all the private data members as well as member data as well as member methods. Got the point? Because your design, when you design real life problems or data structures, you will find that in the class we have we have come up with say 4 member data and maybe 5 member methods, and we have decided say to make 2 of the data members as private and the rest as public, and we have decided maybe 4 of the methods to be public and the only one as private. So how do you do this? Maybe to have it readable, you may use it in a different way. But one thing maybe all the private members, data and method, you just list them in one shot, having the private tag, then put the public tag and list them. That's all. So somehow you have to mention that these are private, these are public. And once you start tagging it's private, so from that point onwards all will be private. And if this happens, so as you can see here, this, now you see the problem. So you say that I just now mentioned it as private x and this fx also, and you are trying to access it here, so that there comes a error message. So this is private, you explicitly declared it, and this is not allowed. And here also when you are accessing z, so z is private and you cannot access it. So anything that is private is accessible or modifiable only within the class's scope, within the class definition scope, but you cannot access them, although they remain in the memory, but you cannot access them from outside any other functions. Got the point?
Yes, sir.
So if I say make here public, so if I am explicitly writing public, so now what happens? X is public, data member y is private, and then data member fx is public. So if it is public, so this is allowed, but this is not allowed, right? This x dot y is not allowed, this is not possible, and here this is also not possible. Okay, will this run? Will this work if I compile it? Will this work? What I did, I have declared an instance, I am trying to access a dot x. What is x? X is public, no problem. Cout a dot x is public, no problem. Then I have written a dot fx. What is fx? Fx is public, no problem. So I have passed here 20. Is that okay? Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now you see it will work. Now my question is, if I write here, say z is getting the value of say y, or you are setting the value of y to 5, y to 90, say for example, will this work?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So everybody
Yes,
getting me? I mean, again, I'm talking
Yes, sir.
to the C coders till now. So if you see, so now within the fx, what you are doing, so obviously within the main I am only calling public ones, right? A dot fx is public, a dot x is public, no problem. But now I say that within the fx, which is a member function, so these are, you can consider this is a family, and within the family, so why they are family? Because they can access each other's property or whatever, they can share things and all this. So this fx is a member function, and that member function is accessing something that is as defined local to it, and also this y. What is y? Y is a private data member, but member of the same family, right? Same class. So if I write here y equals to 90, this must be allowed. Why? Because they are all members of the same class. So this, although this is public, you see fx is public, but even if fx is public, fx can access the private members of the class. So do you think as in terms of the philosophy, this should be allowed?
Yes, sir. Allowed.
What you are trying to do here, so you say that this is private, so others cannot see it. but fx can see it. So the thing is, but fx is public. So what in turn you are trying to do? So like I mean, say there is a car which is private to the family. It's a private property car. But now the thing is, but the members, they can drive the car, they can ride the car and all this. So if somebody else has asked that, okay, can I take your car? You simply say that you are not a family member, you are not a part of a family, so you cannot take it. That's all. But now if somebody of your family, your father takes the car outside, and some friend comes and says that, okay, I want to ride, so he can, because he's now not accessing that car which is a private property of the family directly, rather he's accessing it through some member of your family. That is possible. That is what is happening here, right?
Yes, sir. We are able to access the private data through the public one, so the purpose is not getting fulfilled.
Yes. Which one?
So we can
Purpose
access
is?
private. The purpose of putting it private of
No, I
that is.
mean, that is the point. So the purpose is, now if you really don't want to, so now you see, so the thing is, you are not able to see what y contains, but if you simply write here fx see out y, so you can just see the contents, right? You can see the contents from the public's place also. So the problem is, this facility is perfectly allowed, but the thing is, it is a, then you should say that it's a design problem. So they will start shouting at each other that this is a private property, then why you are sharing it with others directly? So then, so the problem is, it's a design problem in that case, but this is allowed. So it is your task, because these are members, means they are meant for something, they are meant for storing and modifying something and all this. So the only thing is, the only say safety measure that you can take is, nobody else can directly update y or do anything whatever he wants with y. But because these are members, they are kind of trusted. So, and their codes are also, thus this class designer has written, so you know that whatever little amount I want to show you, I would like to share you, that only you can do. So this is perfectly allowed in terms of the design also. And that is the whole purpose of putting things as private. So putting things private means, it may be that I just want to completely hide the contents of it from the outside world. I may say that, I mean, outside world can see the values, but they cannot modify the values. So that is also some kind of thing, some kind of control. Are you getting me?
Sir, using fx, can we return the address of the member y?
But fx is aware of it, na? So that is what I mean. So you can basically, whatever you are trying to do, it is through a member of that particular family. This is perfectly allowed. And who is writing the code? The class designer is writing the code. So if it is really not, it should be prohibited. So it should not be returning anything related to y and all this. That is the point. And then now, putting it as private and then returning the address of y, definitely this basically contradicts the basic notion of privateness of that particular member, and that's a kind of flaw, you can say. This should not be done. But if you really, even by mistake also, you can do that. So the philosophy just says that there's a provision that you have some members declared as private, and those private members does not mean so means that outside world cannot see or access it directly. That is what I mean. But there may be some members who, in a controlled way, they may reveal the values, or they may accept something and add an update inside. That is possible. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Say for example,
Yes, sir.
let us not be so abstract. Say in the stack structure or stack class, I am writing a stack class. What may be the member methods? Push, pop, display, and initialize, right? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And what else you can think of? Is empty, is full. So do you
Sir,
think that, I mean, whenever you are calling push or pop, you are probably calling one of either is empty or is full, right? But to an outsider who is not a part of the stack, any outsider functions, is it required to give access to the is full or is empty? Is that anywhere required in other cases? Getting my question?
Sir, can you repeat the question?
My point is in a stack. So others, they are you able to follow me what I mean? Other students, can you follow me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what I mean to say is, I mean, so you say that, okay, I know that classes or structures, you can tag something as private, something as public. So what's the point of discussing all this? So the point is, I mean, when and where you should be using these features, and in how, in what way you should be using the features. So my question is like, and first thing is, we all found that if it is a structure or class, you can put together member data and member functions, right? Now I take the example of a stack. So stack, how many methods do I write, or how many functions I may write while writing a stack program? Push, pop, display, initialize, is empty, is full. Is that fine? Even for even a C coder also, they will probably define these functions, 6 functions. Is that part fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now for a outsider who is not a part of that the stack definition or stack class definition, like from the main or some other function, if somebody wants to use the stack, so which of these functions or methods that person will be interested in? The stack need to be initialized. Maybe initialization is one thing that is required, specifying the size of the stack and all this. He might be interested in displaying the contents, that is also fine. He may be interested in pushing and popping elements from it, because that is the basic things, basic operations on stacks. So out of those 6, which of them need to be declared as private or public? I mean, say public. Which of these need to be declared as public?
Initialize and display.
Okay. So here you see, I have got init stack, I have got push, I have got pop, is empty, is full. Is that okay? And there is top, the data members are top, then size, and what else? Is there anything else required? Top and size. Okay, and these are the methods. Now my question is, if you are going to declare a class or define a class like this, so which one you would like to put label is as private and which one as public? These black ones are public. So first of all, which one will be public? Say public. Which one will be labeled as public? Push and pop.
Size.
Can you make it? Can you make it private? Push and pop.
No, sir.
That means nobody
No, sir.
else can operate on the stacks or the stack instances. So there is no point of writing this code. So they need to be public. So these blue ones are public. Init stack, without initialization, can you really work on the stack? No, not possible. Then another is display. So display I have missed. So display is also one. Without displaying, sometimes you will be interested to display things. Okay, so display also is it need to be public. So these are all public. Now is empty, is full. Do you really need to make it public?
No, sir.
Because you don't care, right? If I want to use a stack, you say that, okay, you just tell me whether you can push things or not, that's all. If you cannot push it, just give error message, that's all. So why do I need to know that what you are doing inside the push or pop? So I'm
Sir,
not interested in those checks or whatever it is there. It is up to you. So these two may be labeled as, so this is empty and is full may be labeled as These are private.
Sir, but the point is when someone is able to access push and pop, there is a limit for the stack, no, sir. If someone keeps on pushing or someone keeps on popping, they'll be
Yes,
able to
then the push
identify.
says that I cannot push anymore. That's all. So
Yes, sir. Indirectly,
say push
they'll
will
understand that the stack is full or empty, no, sir. So what's
the
the
point is, what I mean to say is, if you would like to push some elements in the stack, that push function should say that it has been done or it has not been done. Now, why it is not done, it is not your headache. That is my question. Why it is not done, it is not your headache. You don't want to know that. Or it is not your task to say that, okay, I have pushed so much, so maybe that there is no space, so let me check it first and then I call push. It's not your task. That is what I mean to say. Are you getting my point? So you say that I want to push, just call the push, that's all. It is not your task to see that, okay, before I push, let me check if it is full or not. If it is full, I'll not call. If it is not full, I'll call it. So that logic should be a part of the push itself. Rather, you should be knowing that if it is done, it is done. If it is not done, it will say error message, no, it's full. That is fine. Now within that push, it will check, it will call that function. That should be the design. Are you getting my point? So definitely to get it done. So what I mean to say is, so why it is required, it is not for that your intention is to create damage. That's not the case. So the thing is, the interface, the public interface should be as minimal as possible. That is what abstraction means. The public interface should be as minimal as possible, and the details or further details should be all hidden. Why the general user should be knowing all the details at what I am doing. So this, you see, this simple examination system, you people just keep calling that our results are supposed to be published, like what happened and all this. So what you are interested in, you say that we appear in the exams in that particular date, give the exams, there is a date where the publication of results will be done. I just want to see that it has been done, what is my CGPA and all the details, that's all. Now who is checking my scripts, when he is submitting, did he submit beyond the deadline, did the director just called him, why or not? So what has happened internally, nobody knows. Nobody knows. I mean, you the users do know. So the thing is, but there are again other processes also that went. There were a tabulation, there was another meeting, and they had other decisions and all this. So all these are there, but you people just give the exam and are seeking for the results. So the thing is, the public interface should be as minimal as possible. So it is not only the reason is you will be tampering this, but you say that I am not bothered about all the details. I, as a student, I give the exams and I want my result. That's all. Now what the hell you are doing, it's up to you. Are you getting my question? A point?
Yes, sir.
So that is the design principle. So reveal as minimum as possible and keep within yourself the rest of it. So that is what abstraction means. That's the basic underlying philosophy of providing abstraction. It is a very simple one. It may happen that internally you are calling, because why you are then writing a separate function for is empty is full, might be that it's logically more cohesive. That's why. That's again the philosophy of how many functions you should break up, like that. But if it is not essential for the user to use it or see it, I should not reveal it. That's all. Regarding the data members, which data members do you think should be revealed out of this? Size and top?
Top.
Sir, size should be private.
Size should be. Now, do you think anything should be revealed? I mean,
Private.
is it required? I need to reveal any of these two? Do I need to reveal the user of the stack? Does he need to know what is the size and what is the top? Okay, size maybe you because while you are initializing, you have put the value and that is what the size is having, right? So you can say that, okay, maybe the size I can see, but there is no point of revealing the top, the value of the top, right? Or maybe the the array, maybe dynamically allocated array where the contents are actually there. So do you want this array or maybe pointer to the array. So there is a pointer pointing to this array. So does this pointer, the address of this, need to be revealed outside? Hello?
No,
Not
sir.
necessary.
That's the point. So maybe you say that I don't want to reveal any of them because it's of no use. You need to know something. So you just push and pop and see what is happening. You want to see the contents of it, just call display, that's all. So why do you need the actual array? And probably you should not be interested in knowing where it is stored and where it is. I mean, in fact, the user is not interested to know whether you have used dynamic allocation or static allocation, because he says that I want an array of size 50. Sometimes I would have wanted an array of size 50,000, and your program should work. That's all. Now, whether we are trying to achieve it by declaring a very, very large static array, it is up to you. So that is what abstraction means. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So this is the whole story. I mean, this is basically the basic design philosophy. That's why I am trying to spend a bit of time here. Otherwise, this is pretty easy to understand. But whenever I give a problem to you, now you are at a, you will be quite at a loss that do I reveal everything outside or do I hide everything? If you hide everything, it will not work actually. So then how much you keep hidden or how much you make private and how much you actually make public, you just try to view in a very simple terms that what the user who is using my data structure or class will actually require out of the methods that I have created, or which of the data members he might be requiring directly. Now you can simply say that I'll not allow to access or read any of the data members without calling any functions. Like only the via the methods you can access it. That is fine. That is your policy. So there lies the choice, and there lies the designer's understanding, skill, and the design philosophy, and everything comes there. These are very simple examples, but there are examples where you have to take a call of what should be private and public and all this. Okay, so the last point that I would like to highlight is this one. Say for example, I have created a class like this. I have created a class like this. First of all, will this work? First of all, will this work? Tell me quickly, will this work? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
No answer. Will it work or not?
Yes, sir.
It will work.
Will work, sir.
Okay, if it works, can you tell me what will be the output of this size of a?
4
Hmm?
4 bytes. 4.
Why 4 bytes?
Oh no, sorry, 8.
Why 8?
Oh no, sorry, int and float is not there.
Okay, now let me tell you. Just give me the answer. What will be the size? What will be the output of the cout? What is cout then?
Hello.
What is the size of the instance created? Tell me the answer. Huh?
0.
How much? 0.
0.
Just a 0, no data member.
Let's see. It says 1. Why? Can we explain this? Why it is so? Well, in the class. So can we explain this? Quickly, can we explain? What should be your logic? It's not even 2 or 4, it's just 1. It should have been 0. Now you say, so whenever earlier you see, whenever I declare instance of A, what you are allocating space, how much space you are allocating, equal to the number of what? Number of what is
Summation
this?
of the size of data members.
Data members. Now you don't have a data member here. So does it mean the object should not be allocated any space in the memory? If it is not the case, then that ID, what it should be associated with? Will it be associated with anything? Because the existence of that instance is manifested through the allocation of the space, right? Hello?
Sir, but how it is 1, sir?
No, that I can't. But first to answer this, then I have shown you the answer. That's why you are arguing that why it is 1, why it is not 10 and all this. But the basic question is, you say that if this is allowed, if I still can write, first of all, you see, I don't have any data members, but if still I am allowed to create an instance. Now you say that the instance has no data members, so there is no allocation. If there is no allocation, how the existence of that instance or that object will be manifested in memory? Can it be done? Can it manifest?
When we include data members, then suppose integer, then one more additional byte should come every time.
No, is that the case? Earlier you just saw one
Yes,
integer,
sir.
one float, just 8 bytes.
Earlier it was not coming one more additional byte. So why
Yes.
it's coming?
So now the thing is, so got the point, no? So it is not that every time it is 1 byte more. But the thing is, now the compiler is in a dilemma, so it has to resolve it, because otherwise you should say that you cannot create structures or classes without data members. But that is something meaningless. Okay. So that is also not possible. So the thing is, to have a way out, then the designer or Strauss-Stock may have thought that, okay, if there are no data members at all to allocate, so there should be a dummy allocation, right? We can call it as a dummy allocation. So that is not, so that 1 byte is not a member of that particular class or structure. It's basically a dummy allocation which says that the person exists. That's all. Got the point? Hello?
Sir, will it be 1 if we write a very complex nested loop code also? Does it
Doesn't
depend
matter
on
what
that?
you do. Try to get the philosophy. So what you write nested code, where from it gets the allocation. So the member function, where it gets allocated from the code segment, right? But when you write size of the instance, does it take into account how much of code that you have written, put there? I just show you, show you the outcome. When I write fx, still it was 8, right? So it is basically excluding the size of the codes or the functions that is there a part of the instance, right? Because codes are basically shared. The methods are basically shared by all the object instances. So declaring an object means it is allocation of the data members. That is what is meant. And if you have no data members, still you have to somehow say that, okay, this is the, so the object, there is an object or there is an instance that you have created. So to do that, there is a dummy allocation. That's why we call it as dummy. There is a dummy allocation of just 1 byte. And if you say what is the address of that object, it will just return that value, the location. Now you say that if I just declared a single character variable, what is the size? There is a single character member. What is the size of the object?
1 byte.
1 byte. If there are no data members, then also it's 1 byte. Okay. So the point to note is, so if there is no data members declared, there is a dummy allocation that is required. Otherwise, how can you refer to it and all this? But this is allowed. For completeness, this is also allowed. This is an extreme thing, but this is allowed. Because they say that you are allowing the data members to be there without data, member data to be there without member methods. So why don't you allow member methods without member data? So both are allowed. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So any more questions? Okay, so I'll end the class. but I still found that today is a deadline, but only I think till today morning there was only 54 or 60 responses till late. It's almost like less than one, it's almost one fourth, nearly one fourth of it. So is it like you people are not getting things, or you are not interested in writing codes, or what exactly is going on? It's not a literature class, first of all. It's a language class, but it's not a language literature. It's a coding class. So without codes, I don't know how to explain things, because at times now in the next week I'll start writing codes and you'll be completely you'll be in a dreaming state, because without the features I cannot explain you will not understand. And as you can see, the numbers are falling, so maybe 4 or 5 you will be there and I'll be talking to you. So I don't think it does make sense to take a language course like this. I mean, programming language course like this. And I don't see the faces also. I don't know what others are getting or not. Uh, there are few students who, I mean, keep me alive by asking or raising their voices, but rest I really don't know what they are doing. And you all would say that maybe this is not our business. We are there and we have done our part. But as a whole, I don't know what is happening. Because this class is not meant for those who know coding and all this. So this is a general course. I would expect everybody to learn something, and that is what I am trying to put my effort. If that goes in vain, so I have to think what's wrong in my way of talking, or maybe whatever. So you can put suggestions or comments, but such a silence, it creates a lot of problem to me.
Sir, actually, we were having a couple of assignments from other subjects also, so we are having a small delay in doing
Yes.
and
So is
submitting
it
them.
like may I put it like this, that these are least important subject that among the rest of the subjects that you are dealing with, or is it the faculty who is uh, I mean, is it because of the course that you
Sir,
put?
it's not like that, sir. Just doing many works. It is taking some time. Nothing else.
See, I mean, most of the assignments I am trying to discuss, and maybe sometimes I'm trying to write it also. But even if it takes say 10 days gone and still 2 or 3 assignments not done by almost more than 3/4, that is something very strange. So all the other faculties, do they allow you to not to submit within the deadline and still? So I don't know. Anyway, otherwise I have to talk to your parents. Otherwise, I mean, I have to write a mail to them in a group. That's what you are doing in the home. I mean, you don't have to come to the hostels and taking your own time to do things. And 3 assignments, 4 assignments also you cannot do in a week. What is this happening?
So within the deadline, we'll submit, sir.
Today is a deadline. Oh, do you, I don't know. Today is already 12, so only 12 hours are left. And maybe there may be some other classes also. So is it like you are trying? I mean, so the only thing that you resort is copying from each other's and then submit like that. Anyway, so what I'm worried about when I'm talking, maybe if you cannot follow, or if you have not doing your tasks in time, there will be some at some point of time you will not be able to follow my lectures also, or whatever I say will not make sense. That is the point. Anyway, I cannot see your faces, I cannot read your faces also in the class. That is possible. So who are getting things and who are not getting, and maybe I inquire few of them personally. This is a completely different mode of teaching that, I mean, at least this year, because theoretical courses fine, but this programming course I am not habituated with this mode of teaching. So I don't know whether I am able to express myself completely or not. That's why I'm asking also you. Anyway, let's see how many of you successfully copy and submit by tonight. Okay, bye.